Welcome everyone for the today's session Basics of Measurement. I am P. Sendil Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering, Erodu Sengundar Engineering College, Perundurai. Basics of Measurement. So first, what is measurement? Measurement is a process of comparing a physical quantity with a standard unit, and the physical quantity is converted into number. For this conversion, we need a standard known quantity and the unknown quantity, or we can say it physical quantity. Then comparison process happens. Finally, we can get the result as number with unit. This is called a measurement. When we decide to study a variable, we need to devise some way to measure it. Some variables are easy to measure and others are very difficult. The values of variables are made meaningful by quantifying them into specific units. For example, instead of saying that a particle fluid is hot, we can specify a measurement and specify that the fluid is having a temperature of 80 degrees Celsius. That 80 is a number and degree Celsius is the unit. So, for any measurement, final value can be represented by the number with its units. One more example is use of a ruler to determine the length of a piece of paper. So how much length it is? It is in this 10 centimeter or 10 millimeter. Likewise, it needs to be mentioned with number and its units. Measurement is thus essentially an act or the result of comparison between the quantity whose magnitude is unknown and a predefined standard. Since both the quantities are compared, the result is expressed in numerical values. So, what is the essential requirements for the measurements in order to make the results meaningful? First requirement is the standard used for comparison purposes must be accurately defined and should be commonly accepted. The second one is the apparatus used and the method adopted must be provable. These are all the two essential requirements. Functions of instrumentals and measurement systems. The measurement systems and the instruments may be classified based upon the functions they perform. So there are four different functions the measurement system can perform. First one is indicating, next one is signal processing, third one is recording, and fourth one is control. Functional elements of a measurement system. The operation of a measuring instrument or a system could be described in a generalized manner in terms of functional elements. Each functional element is made up of a component or group of component which perform, record and definite steps in measurement. Let's see what are all the main functional elements of a measurement system. Totally, six elements were present. We'll start from the first one, that is primary sensing element. Second one is variable conversion element. The third one is variable manipulation element. Fourth one is signal conditioning element. Fifth one is data transmission element. And sixth one is data presentation element. This is the block diagram. So each one's output is input to the next element, and the variable conversion element and variable manipulation element combinedly it's called as data conditioning elements. Now we are going to see the elements one by one. First one, primary sensing element. The quantity or the variable which being measured makes its first contact with primary sensing element of a measurement system. The measurement or the measurand is thus first detected by primary sensor or detector. It is directly in contact with the physical quantity or physical variable. The measurement is then immediately converted into an analog electrical signal. That is, this is done by transducer. So now the new term transducer comes into picture. So what is transducer? A transducer is defined as a device which converts a physical quantity into electrical quantity. Normally, many of the sensors it won't produce an electrical signal, so it is necessary to convert into electrical quantity. It is very convenient for to make other functionalities like indicating, recording, signal analyzing, and controlling. So, if it is an electrical quantity, then we can make these things easily. So that's why transducer comes into picture to convert that physical quantity into electrical quantity. The first stage of a measurement system is known as detector transducer stage. It will do two things: detects as well as transducts. Second one is variable conversion element. The output signal of a sensing element may be any kind. It could be a mechanical or electrical signal. It may be a deflection of elastic member or electrical parameters such as voltage, frequency, etc. Sometimes the output from the sensor is not suitable to the measurement system. So the output from the primary sensing element is not suitable for next elements. Okay, it could not be processed. So in that condition, what you can do? For the instrument to perform the desired function, it may be necessary to convert this output signal from the sensor to some other suitable form while preserving the information content of the original signal. For example, suppose the output from the sensing element is in the form of very small displacement, which is difficult to measure mechanically. It is converted into corresponding electrical signal with the help of a transducer is called strain gauge for further processing. Also, if the output at one stage is analog form and the next stage of the system accepts input signal only in digital form, in such cases we have to use the analog to digital converter. In many instruments, variable conversion element is not required. Some instrument or measuring system may require more than one element. So here we have to know some few things. Uh, so in the sensing part, a small displacements or mechanical movement may be happen. So if it is converted into an electrical quantity by using different units. So one is strain gauge. So here the resistance change may be converted into an electrical quantity. So from the strain gauge also it will produce an analog output. If nowadays the processing devices are digital in nature, so the output from the strain gauge is analog and the processing device is digital. What is the solution? So in between the strain gauge and the processing unit, we need analog to digital converter. Okay, so that is the variable conversion happens without losing its the small change that is the output from the sensor. It is before lasting or before it is corrupting, we are converting into converting into the suitable form. Variable manipulation means a change in numerical value of the signal. The function of a variable manipulation element is to manipulate the signal presented to this element while preserving the original nature of the signal. Let's see the example for this. A voltage amplifier acts as a variable manipulation element. The amplifier accepts a small voltage signal as input and produces an output signal, which is also voltage but greater magnitude. The variable manipulation element could be either placed after the variable conversion element or it may precede the variable conversion element. So here the manipulation element just changes the magnitude or increases the magnitude without affecting the signal originality. Okay, so the example is voltage amplifier. We can say now we are using an audio amplifier also. Even we are using a music small portable music players, or in a mobile phone we are listening a songs. So if the loudness is not enough, and we can connect with the audio amplifier and speaker system, where after amplifying also the signal quality or the song what you can listen is in the original form. The amplifying process, it won't affect the audio quality. So that is variable manipulation. Signal conditioning element. The output signal of a transducer contains information which is further processed by the system. Many transducers develop usually a voltage or some other kind of electrical signal, and quite often signal developed is very low voltages, maybe the order of millivolt. This signal could be contaminated by unwanted signals like noise due to an external source which may interfere with the original output signal. The solution to this problem is to prevent or remove the signal contamination or distortion. The operations performed on the signal to remove the signal contamination or distortion is called signal conditioning. The output from the variable manipulation element that may contains uh, a noise or other contaminations. So it is necessary to remove those contaminations or noises before that transmission. So signal conditioning element will do that. It will filter the unwanted signal, and it will transfer only the required signal to the next stage. Now the signal is ready in a perfect quality as well as without any distortion. And now the next element is data transmission element. There is several situations where the elements of an instrument are actually physically separated. In such situations, it becomes necessary to transmit data from one element to another. The element that performs this function is called a data transmission element. So, the data transmission element is transferring the information from one element to another element because it is separated. And now the transmitted data finally comes into data presentation element. The function of a data presentation element is to convey the information about the quantity under measure to the personal handling handling the instrument or the system for monitoring, control, and analysis purpose. The information conveyed must be in a convenient form in case data is to be monitored. visual display devices are needed. These devices may be analog or digital, indicating instruments like ammeters, voltmeters, etc. So the signal or the data information from the data transmission element finally it reaches the data presentation element. After reaching it, we can either the data may be displayed or indicated, monitored or controlled. Okay, these are all the functions may be performed by using those signals. In the case of data is to be recorded, records like magnetic tapes, high-speed camera or TV equipment. Storage type CRT printers, analog and digital computers may be used. For control and analysis purpose, computers and the control elements are used. The final stage in the measurement system is known as terminating stage. Now we are going to see the functional elements of a board and pressure gauge. So it is a pressure sensing device. It is a pure mechanical type pressure sensing device. It contains pressure connection, board and tube, pointer, gear, spring, link, section and pinion. These are all the things. Now we are going to see the relationship between uh, the function element of a measurement system. So what are all the five elements are primary sensing element, variable conversion element, variable manipulation element, data transmission element and data presentation element. In a board and tube, which are all the parts which performing these operations. So first one is board and tube that will do that will act as a primary sensing element and variable conversion element. Next one is gear arrangements that will perform variable manipulation element operation. The third one is mechanical linkage that will act as a data transmission element. The final one, pointer and scale that will act as a data presentation. Now let's see in detail. The board and tube act as a primary sensing element and a variable conversion element. It senses the input quantity on account of the pressure, the Gaussian of the board and tube is displaced. Thus, the pressure is converted into a small displacement. The closed end of the board and tube is connected through a mechanical linkage to a sector pinion gearing arrangement. The gearing arrangement amplifies the small displacement and makes the pointer to rotate through a large angle. The mechanical linkage thus act as a data transmission element while the gearing arrangement act as a data manipulation element. The dial scale on the gauge body plays the function of a data presentation element and conveys the information about the quantity being measured. The information conveyed by this device is in analog form. So the board and tube pressure gauge is the mechanical type pressure measuring device. So it will senses the pressure and the seed shaped tube expands. So it will adjust for the pressure the small physical change happens with the C-shaped tube. Along with the C-shaped tube, the linkage and gearing arrangement is connected. So the gearing arrangement this amplifies the signal and the pointer moves and display the pressure to the user. Thank you for listening. Next session, we are going to see the next topic. Thank you once again.